Going. I'm Rick Austin. Bill Van appointed me as kind of a chairman of this thing when he didn't want to do much with it a few years ago, but he's back full force now. This is our 6th annual packing clinic, and basically what we want to do is just kind of get you guys introduced to the different hitches and how they're used, and then later on today we'll go into a little bit of demonstrations on some different applications that you might. Bill's got a little camp set up over here next to the corrals. You can kind of see some of the stuff that you can put on mules to take into the high country. Loren's going to demonstrate the box hitch. I've got Rob Riley's going to do the diamond hitch for me. Then we've got a Decker saddle that Robert's going to show you. Then Bill will actually show you a squat hitch that's useful in most of the time getting your equipment out, and just the 4 basic hitches that you'll be using in the mountains or in the flatlands or doing whatever. First of all, this thing was started by Bill, and he asked several of us to help him on it the first few years, and it's all to benefit the Church of Toll House. So, Bill, you want to give us a little prayer and go from there?
Dear Lord, thank you for the opportunity that you have given us to be able to share and hope to continue the use of your beast of burden to get us to the back country so that we can look at God's given your hand. May the stock behave themselves. The packers I already know will. In your name, amen.
Amen. Okay, without further ado, any questions before we get started? We'll start with the box hitch here with Loren, my brother. I'll introduce the guys as they come. If I introduce them right now, you guys will probably forget them like I did within 10 minutes. So, Loren Austin is the first one to go. And take it away, Loren. You're hot on the mic.
Okay. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
I just wanted to start out real quick for some of you that haven't packed and just talk about the equipment. Pack saddles. We have a vendor here, Dave Schmidt. He's the one that made this one, and he makes a real good pack saddle. But you know, they have the ones in the catalogs and online you can buy with the nylon and all that stuff, and those work real good if that's, you know, if you're just starting out. They're a little bit less money, but if you're going to be packing a lot, something like this is more appropriate for what you might want, because it's really good tough leather. The nylon stuff works good for a long time, but it's a little thinner, and I don't know, I've always used this heavy leather stuff and I really like it because it really holds together good. But just remember, when you're putting the pack saddle on, you want it in the center of the back. The britching's real important. You don't want it too tight. You want it about midway, and you want to be able to get your hand in here. You want just a little bit of looseness for if you're going downhill, it's going to hold that saddle where it belongs. The breast collar, same thing. You don't want it too tight, but when you're going uphill, it's going to catch the saddle and keep everything from going out the back. So that's the reason for that. So everything's hooked up for the britching. It just snaps on. Some saddles, they snap back here. Some saddles only have one snap. There's different styles. Some breast collars, they go up over with a strap to kind of hold it up. But if you stop to drink somewhere, you don't want this too tight because they got to bend over to get a drink. And if it's pulling back on them, they're less likely to drink. So anyway, the other thing you do once you get all hitched up, you want to make sure before you start loading that you've got your cinch tight enough. Again, you don't want it too tight. You don't want to cut them in two like they say. You just want it snug so I can get my fingers under here like that, and that's about right. That'll hold a pretty good load. And then some of us tie this off different. It's the same thing as you do on a saddle, but we do it this way. So if for some reason the horse goes down, you need to get him out, you can just grab this and pull it, and it'll come out easier.
You guys can come in a little bit if you want.
Yeah.
It's kind of arc to where the camera's still going on it. But.
That's right. Go ahead.
Okay, so.
I use on my saddle.
Yeah, some people do, yeah. So anyway, it's the same kind of a thing, but you're just up here instead of down there. If it's real long, I just kind of tuck it back in here.
You prefer the rope cinch?
Like this.
Yeah.
I like it because that's all I've ever really used. The nylon stuff like that, you know, it's all right. I mean, it's easier to clean up. The sweat comes off and you can keep it clean that way. But these, you know, they're wider, and a lot of this is like mohair, so it's real nice and soft. So it's easy on the animals. You just have to get the chunks of hair out of there sometimes because it'll ball up. Just keep an eye on that. But I'm going to spin him around this way so I can start packing. Come on, Smokey.
Oh. Are those, what do you call the tree?
Well, these are the forks. So this is a sawbuck saddle.
Sawbuck, okay.
So these are the forks versus the decker like they have over there with the rings. That one's a combination. And you'll get to see how that works too. So I'm going to bring my gear over here and set up. The short ear goes in the front, so when you grab this, here's the short, here's the long, so that one goes on this side, Mike. And the other thing is balancing out your loads. I've already balanced these out, but I usually just pick one up and then pick the other one up like this. That'll, just from feeling it, you can tell. They do sell those little weight ones that you just hook like this and hold it, and it'll tell you where you're at. Average weight for a pack animal is about 150 pounds. So that's kind of the limit. And when you think about it, a guy's going to weigh anywhere between 150 and 200 or more. So that's about what, if they were going to tote somebody around, it's about the same. So you do your offside first. And so it's nice if somebody's over there to help you, otherwise you can just feel it out, but get it the right level. Okay. So when you're building your loads, I'm just doing a quick one so it'll be easy for you guys to tie. But you want a center load if you've got one, something to go in the middle here. That helps if it's up a little bit, helps tying it off. This side part here, you know, sometimes you'll have like these bed rolls. You can, if you had a couple of bed rolls, you could put them on like this on each side. Or if you have the panniers like they've got over there, the leather ones with the canvas, you can stuff things down in there and then start stacking on top. These are regular aluminum boxes, and for packing cans, bottles, stuff like that, they work out real nice. But for this guy, for this time, we're gonna go like this because it makes a nice load. And the other thing I wanted to show you too, when you're up there, especially nowadays in the backcountry, they really push keeping your, you know, the site where you're at clean. When you leave, it looks like you haven't been there. So a shovel and a little rake like this, it's kind of nice to have, or they got those little aluminum ones that slide in and out. Those work good too. But this is not real long handled. You could bring a long handled one if you want. But I'm going to put this on, I'll spin him this way so you can see it. I'm smoking. When you're putting these kind of things on, you don't want it to rub anywhere. So you got to pull it out. So I set it up here where I'm going to want it. So I put this in the front because it's got a kind of a round shape to it. So and I set it so his head when he turns isn't going to hit it. If it was a shovel or another kind of rake, same thing. You want the long end back here, of course. Fishing poles even you could do this way. So your cover, your mani, the pack cover, it's there to keep the dust and the rain kind of off of your pack stuff, especially your sleeping bag. So you can open it up all the way. But when you put it on there, you don't want to just throw it, even though your animal's kind of used to it. You kind of let them know you're here with it. So then you're going to get it up there and square it up. Okay. And then tuck it in. so you can see the forks. When you're going down the trail, these forks will tell you that your saddle's centered and it's not slipping one way or another, so that's a good place to look. If you see this over here, you either got one side too heavy or his cinch came loose and it's starting to slide. So you'd want to stop and check that. Okay, move over. So I'm going to start with this box hitch, is what they call it. This is kind of a basic hitch that everybody uses the most. And it's not that hard, just a little practice. When you're throwing it over, you get better as you do it more. So you can kind of do it in one swing and grab it. But if you're not that good and it just drags, there's other ways I can show you how to do it too. But once you get it up, you kind of give yourself a little swing. It's coming over, Mike. You can just grab it like that. But if you miss it and it's over here, I just come around, I kind of get it centered up, and then I'll just slide it under. So don't feel bad if you don't get it. Another important thing, this hook has to be pointed towards the back. You don't want it pointing towards the front. Let's get a hook on a branch or something. That wouldn't be good. So always make sure it's at the back. And you want to get it centered. And you kind of get the feel of it, how much you're going to pull too, so you kind of know where to set it. But you don't want any part of it, the metal parts, touching the horse. So I'm going to pull it up snug. Then just hang on to it. You can gather up your slack. I'm going to throw it over the first time. So this starts the box part. Okay, coming over. One key thing is don't let go of the rope you started with. Hang on to this. This is kind of what you're working off of. So I just follow it over. Now I still got the same rope. I switched hands, but you're going to be switching hands back and forth. So if you guys can't see, come on over here. Okay, so now I'm looking down here and I'm a little bit too close there. I'm going to have to loosen that up. So that's about even. See what I mean about this thing could rub in here? You got to keep an eye on that. Okay, now this is the rope I got a hold of. This is the one you started with and you're still holding it. I grab it like this with my left and I put my thumb up. And it's just a little reminder of what you got to do next. It goes to the back, okay, this loop. Now I'm going to pull it up and get some slack. The rope I have a hold of, this rope dragging first is going to stay in the middle. The rope I have a hold of goes to the front. And once you get this little rhythm started, it's not that hard to remember, but the first few times you got to remember which way you're going to go. So now, still the same rope I've been holding, I put the loop to the back over the top of it. Now I'm going to the front. I'm going to catch the corner, and they call this a box hitch because when you catch that corner and you cinch it, it pulls the box away from the horse, and that keeps it from rubbing. So it's real important to catch the corners of your box. They say catch the corners. Okay, now I got that, and I'm going to come across, and you want this rope to be hanging down in the middle. So I'm catching this back here, and since this is going to rub, I'm going to come up and I'm going to put a wrap on it. So I still got that same rope. Now I'm coming over here. And this is what you're going to pull down on. This is that same rope that you've been holding the whole time. Pull down and then pick it up from the bottom and get the slack out. See how much that just came up right there? It pulled it away. Now you're going to do the same thing on the other side. You don't want to stand on your rope either. So keep a hold of it. That's the key right there. You're keeping the tension. Plus it tells you where you're at when you're tying, so you know where to go. So now, same thing. You put your thumb up, flip this over like that. So you got some slack. You want to get what you need to get the corner. And you're always going to the, on that side, the off side, you go to the front. When you're on the near side, which is this left side where you get on, you go to the back, catch the corner, follow it. This has to stay under, remember, so you follow it, follow that corner, follow it up, pull the slack, down, up. Now, I just put like a little half hitch up here after I tuck it in. And this rope has what they call a bite because it's cotton. So you can see there's little ridges in here, and it really catches real nice. So the cotton rope's pretty good, but they use nylon too. So they both work great, but this has more holding on it and it's stiffer. So when it's real cold and wet, it's real stiff. It's hard to get it to work sometimes. So anyway, I just did that little half hitch and I got a tail. You don't want that tail dragging, especially on the ground. So you want to get it up where it's not going to do that. We just take a wrap and then you put it on the back side of your loop here, reach through and pull it tight. Now it's just hanging there. And it's not going to go anywhere, or you can tuck it underneath, however you want to do it. But that's the box hitch. And those are the reasons why we do what we do.
What's that extra ring for down there?
When you hook the animals together, you hook that mule, you run it through here, and you can tie around the neck.
This is his 6th year.
So it makes a nice straight
Loren
line.
is a former world champion. And his brother, Rick, is a former world champion. And then you'll meet Mr. Jones and Rob as we go. But the thing that I was going to tell you, this is his 6th year with us. The first year, he did that whole box hitch and he said 6 words. That's why I clapped.
Well, I hope you understood it enough. We're going to practice it more, so we'll work with you on it.
Any questions right off the bat before we go to the next one? Oh, you must have done a great job.